Welcome into Jets Nation Radio. I'm Angus Hout, joined by Ray Howe today. How's it going there, buddy?
Pretty good, pretty good. It's kind of surreal to think that the regular season for the NHL is starting up on next Tuesday. So it's like only less than 2 weeks away. So the
Yeah,
countdown is real.
13 days away from the Jets season starting. Oh boy, I'm excited. Like 2 Thursdays from now. So yeah, I mean, legitimately, like we've gone through training camp. Is there anyone that you're like, this guy could actually take a spot on this lineup?
One person that I'm not sure if they can take a spot on the lineup, but someone that I've been impressed with was Chibrikov. I feel like seeing him play like the first time in North America like with NHL players, like he hasn't looked out of sort. Like he's looked like a guy that can be a great producer. He skates. He's able to find the open man, and even if he doesn't make the opening night lineup, which is pretty unlikely, it's encouraging to see, like we saw with Brad Lambert last year in the preseason, where it looked like he might have been itching to make the team out of camp. So it's going to be interesting to see what we can see from Chibrikov from this year.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to learn that North American game. So, spend a year down with the Moose, and then next year, who knows what he can do. But even you look at what Heinola did with Brennan Dillon the last game there. It's like this guy might be making the Jets lineup. We haven't seen Sandberg yet, but Heinola wants that spot. He deserves that spot. And same with Kyle Capabianco. That guy was just like a madman. Like I could see him being a top four NHLer at this point, or top four defenseman at this point.
Yeah, and also one defenseman too that I've been impressed with was Solomonson.
Mm-hmm.
His skating, and he's just so poised, and you forget that he's even just 19 years old. Like to be doing this stuff, to be able to be so good in the defensive zone and the offensive zone in transition. I think that even though he's not going to make the opening night lineup, to see that much promise from a 19-year-old is really encouraging to see.
Yeah, and it takes a few years for a defenseman to get finally comfortable to play in the big league. So, I mean, give him a year or two. And yeah, we're talking about a legitimately great Jets defense that's going to be really young, too. So, like, we've got probably a good 5 years of great defensive work here in Winnipeg. So, the goaltending, what are your thoughts on that? Like, the Jets have the best goaltending in the NHL, like top to bottom.
I wouldn't say they're the best. I would say that like a team like the Islanders or even the Rangers or Tampa, but with Tampa having Bassey out, it's kind of questionable. But it's really encouraging to see not just Hellebuck succeeding. Like in those preseason games, Brossoit gets a shutout. Delia only lets in one goal. That was a power play goal. So it's like these goalies are coming in and they're doing really good jobs. And I think that it's really encouraging to see not just Hellebuck doing the bulk of the good work in the preseason because I feel like that's the one thing that the Jets really wanted to address this season was game management for Connor Hellebuck. So having Delia or Brossoit to fall back on for a good majority of games when Hellebuck shouldn't have been playing last year but played anyways, I think it's encouraging to see that we're going to get maybe even more quality from Hellebuck because he's starting a couple less games.
So, Connor Hellebuck, are you going to say he plays more than 47 games or less?
I would say he would still play more than 40. Like last year, I'm pretty
47.
sure or 47. Yeah, I still think he'd play more than 47. I think he started over like 60 games this year. I would
Yeah.
have to confirm, but I would say he's like in that like 50 to 55 range this year. Like I think that's where he ends up because then that's still another like 30 games. Like how many did Riddick even start? I think he started only around 20. So
Yeah. He didn't get a whole lot of starts, but I think that's because he had a really rough start to his season in Winnipeg, where I feel like he got a bad rap because he let 4 goals in that first period against Vegas, his one of his first games last year, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at what old Riddich it can't do." So I think that guy got a bad rap here in Winnipeg, but he played. Connor Hellebuck played 64 games, so 18 games to Riddich, which
yeah.
yeah, your starter, especially if you're depending on him to take you to the play or take you far into the playoffs, shouldn't be playing 64 games. Like this isn't the 1980s anymore, where you can run a goaltender for 82 or 80 of 82 games.
Yeah. And I think that just lowering Hellebuck's games, like it seems like it'd be a bad decision just because you're not starting Hellebuck, who is a top five goalie in the league, but being able to put in Bressois or Delia for those games where Hellebuck would normally start, I think it really opens up opportunity for Hellebuck to be more quality in the games because there was times last year when he would start both games of a back to back, or there'd be a time where he would play like 5 or 6 games in a row. Like I think it opens up opportunity where Hellebuck can get more rest, and I feel like more rest for Hellebuck can't be a bad thing in him being a better goalie next year.
Oh, absolutely. Uh, what is Hockey DB doing with these BS ads? I'm trying to look up something here. Some okay, I'd seen somebody complain about Laurent Brossoit and the fact that he had a losing record in the AHL last year, which he did. He was 8-11-3 in the A with a 909 save percentage. But I mean, I don't know.
Look at the NHL.
Yeah, look at the NHL. I was going to say the exact same thing. Where just like he was also perfect in the regular season, and it's not like he had bad numbers in the A. It just didn't work out. And I mean, what is the Henderson Silver Knights defensive group looking like? Like, I can't believe that their AHL team would be anything worth anything because the Vegas Golden Knights only want to see a Stanley Cup. They could care less about the A. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think if anyone's going to be like, well, look at his AHL numbers, you got to remember how bad I assume the Henderson Silver Knights were. I guess I could look up the official
And
stats.
one thing to note too is like he was dealing with recovering from an injury as well. So like he was in the AHL recovering from an injury that he had, and when you have Logan Thompson and Aiden Hill in the NHL, like when you're rehabbing that injury and you have two goalies in the NHL that are succeeding, it's hard to kind of bring you up. So when Vegas ended up having those goalie issues and having more injuries, and Brissot was able to show what he had post recovery from his injury, again, he said that he's felt flexibility and opportunity in his body that he hasn't had in his whole career. So people don't just say that after an injury. Like sometimes you have an injury, you come back and you're even better. So I feel like Bressois is going to be hungry to show that he is even a 1B type of goalie, like not just a backup, but someone that you can rely on for 30 plus games.
Is LB our starter to start next season, 2025-26?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I also wouldn't be too optimistic for the season.
Okay, I respect it. Also, Henderson's record last year, a whopping 29-38-5. So they weren't that great. So we got a brand new jersey last weekend, the
Yeah.
1948 RCAF jersey. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the jersey itself, I think it's a cool concept. I like the colors, but I know that a lot of public opinion online is that it isn't the prettiest of jerseys, but I like the jersey and I like that it's like what it represents, like honoring the the Air Force and everything like that. I think it's a really great idea, and to see that jersey 3 times this year is going to be a treat to see because just having new Jets jerseys just exciting. Like one more Jets jerseys you can sign me up for.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, they did the brown gloves right. If you look at Edmonton's brown gloves and pants setup, you're kind of like, ew. But the one with the Jets, I don't know. It just works with like that baby blue and the brown. Beautiful. So, yeah, I'm all in on it. Like, I could move the striping a little bit, but I mean, that's just being nitpicky. I think those are going to be gorgeous, gorgeous jerseys on the ice. So, anyone that's complaining now, I think they're going to be pleasantly surprised once we get to, well, whenever they're wearing those jerseys. So, uh, so okay, we've got a long list of actual injuries with the Winnipeg Jets right now. I mean, we got Capobianco, Schmidt, Ehlers, who's always hurt, Perfetti's kind of hurt, but not really. Just precautionary hurt, and Capobianco. So, are you worried going into the season already that we've got guys that are injured like this?
I don't think I'm too concerned because all the injuries that the Jets have aren't like a really long-term injury. All of whom seem to be more precautionary side, like that they're injured, but they don't want to put them in to the game, or they want to give them more time so that they're ready for the regular season. So I'm not very concerned. And if they miss a couple games to start the regular season, it just gives the Jets more opportunity to see what they have from someone like David Gustafson or Axel Johnson Fialbi in maybe a more elevated role. And then you just having depth, seeing what you have in your depth and what they can do to the adapt. Because obviously, this isn't going to be something that goes away during the season. Obviously, there's going to be injuries throughout the season for different amounts of time, different players, different roles. So it's going to be, I think it's actually a good thing in a way where they're giving the players that are injured ample time so that they're completely 100%. And then it also gives the depth players a shot at having some ice time and to really show more than maybe what they did in the preseason.
But my issue here is like you got Ehlers and Cole Perfetti who have history or history. So just like that's two of your top six forwards that play on the same line that you're just like, ooh. So we might have to see like I don't know who's going to step up into the top six because I just don't know. And like if you see Adam Lowry on your top six, you're not a great team.
Yeah, and for Ehlers, it looks like it was like neck spasms like that he had like when he was doing some regular routine stuff that wasn't out of the ordinary. So that was starting sometime last week.
Mm-hmm.
So it's I think that they're giving him ample time. He's hungry. Like he has an injury history, and he said that it sucks to be injured. So he knows that there's a process to becoming healthy, and I think that he's just gonna be gunning it so he can make it back for the regular season. And Perfetti, it was on that hit at the center ice, and I feel like that hit is more like it was a dirty hit. It was a suspension, but I think that they're being more precautionary on his rehab and making sure that there isn't anything there that they shouldn't put him out for the next game. But I think one person that could really step up is Vlad Namestnikov because we saw him in the second line last year, and right now he's penciled in beside Kupari and Barron. So I think that that's your number one guy whenever there's an injury sometime in the top six, he's that guy that just shoots up into the first line, the second line, and can really still be a positive for that line.
I think a guy that's going to sell a ton of jerseys this year is going to be Nemestikov. I like just the way that guy plays. Like, did you see the other night when he hustled down the ice and got that block right in front of the
Yeah,
net?
yeah.
Lovely. Like that's a guy that you have to have on your team if you're going to be a legitimate contender. So, heart and soul is the only way that I would describe good old Vlad Nemestikov. But how comfortable are you with Cole Perfetti at the second line center? Like, not even injuries, we won't worry about that, but like just having a 5'10, 185er sitting in your second line center, is that something that the Jets need to address? Like, would you even consider getting someone at the trade deadline to fulfill that second line center spot and then move Cole Perfetti down?
I don't think I would. Like the Jets drafted Cole Perfetti as a centerman. He played center all through juniors in the AHL. And I think that the new NHL, I don't think size is still gonna matter in the NHL, but you see someone like Jack Hughes, like Jack Hughes is maybe 5'11, 5'10 as well, and you see what he's able to bring. So I think that the Jets really need to try Cole Perfetti at center for an extended period of time because if he's really good at the center position and you don't really give him the shot just based on his size, I think that there could be a big missed opportunity because he was saying in his interviews that being able to play center, felt more responsible and he was able to do more. Like he wasn't stuck to the one side of the ice. He was able to go multiple ways, open up plays more, and use his vision and smarts more effectively as a centerman.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I still think that he should be a centerman, but when you get down to the nitty gritty of it all, you get to the playoffs, if the Jets get there and go far, I don't know if I necessarily want Cole Perfetti as my second line center, maybe a third line center. And then you eventually pop Laurie down to the fourth line. And then, I think you got a great team ahead of you. If you could find a legit second line center, like just trade the farm for it. Cause you're here to win a Stanley Cup. And if you're just going to half-ass it, what's the point?
Yeah.
So uh Okay, what's more likely to happen this season? What's more likely to happen? Ehlers finishes a full 82 game season before the end of his career, or the Jets have a 50 goal scorer in the next five.
I would say Ehlers plays an 82 game season.
Whoa.
I think that's the more likely occurrence. I like again, like I've mentioned this before, like Ehlers has an injury history, but it's really recent history. Like it's just affected him the past 2 to 3 seasons. And I think that a lot of people forget how many healthy seasons he had prior. And with Ehlers having these injuries, I think he's gonna be smarter in addressing how he goes into battles or how he plays, not really changing how he effective he is, but I think he's become smarter from what he's had to go through. And I know that players when they get injured, they're gonna come back and they're gonna be like, okay, let's find a way where I can be smarter and not have this happen again.
Man, I love your faith in Nikolai Ehlers. Like, you just believe this guy's going to be a part of it. Because there's not a lot of people that are in favor of Nick Ehlers. So let's make it happen. 82
Yeah.
for 27. You want to get into the Jets ranking of importance here?
Yeah,
Yeah, let's get into
sure.
it. I believe we were doing 10 to 6 here.
Yeah, 10 to 6.
All right, I'll get us kicked off. Gabriel, holy smokes, that's hard to say.
Mhm.
Velarde, he's my number 10 pick. And I mean, we did this what, early August. He's definitely moved up in my list, but oh yeah, that no look backhand pass in front of the net off to Kyle Connor. That's a guy that's going to be a sneaky pick on everyone's fantasy team. If you can end up with Gabriel Velarde within the first, I would say you could pick him up in the third round. And that's
You could
your
probably pick him up in any round, to be honest.
yeah, but I mean, you want to pick him up in a sneaky spot. So everyone's like, why would you pick Gabe Velarde? And then all of a sudden, you've
Yeah.
got an extra 80 points in your fantasy team and everyone else is looking stupid. So Gabriel Velarde, number 10, but should be higher on my list.
Yeah, for my number 10, I have Alex Iafallo. He's a really good just overall player. Like when I look at his game, like he's just kind of effective everywhere. He's good offense, he's good defense, he can play penalty kill, he can play power play. He's that kind of Swiss Army knife where he's kind of good at everything. He's not the master of anything, but he's not really terrible at anything either. So I think Iafallo is gonna be interesting to see this year because he's only played in LA. So it's gonna be interesting to see him play with like a Lowry and Appleton because maybe he brings a little bit more offense to that line as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see what we see from Alex Iafallo.
Yeah, another guy that I'm very excited to watch this season. I think Jets fans will just fall in love with that guy. My number 9, Nikolai Ehlers. Really, I could have just switched Velarde and Ehlers in my ranking of importance. We've talked about him. He's a great scorer when he's healthy. There's a lot of great upside to Nikolai Ehlers, and yeah, hopefully he gets healthy here, and hopefully full 82 for 27.
Yeah, I think that's a little low there, but
Yeah.
for my number 9, I have Adam Lowry. I know you had him below your top 10, so I have him in the top 10 based on just what he is. Like he just became the captain. He's a really great third line center. He's gonna stick up for your team. He's gonna fight, and he had a really great year in points production as well last year. So it's gonna be interesting to see what type of Adam Lowry we get this year, especially with the C on his jersey.
Well, I mean, like he had a brutal middle of the season. Like he started
Yeah,
off okay, went dead cold, and then picked it up again. And then the playoffs, whew, yeah, I definitely should have had him higher. But I wrote this list prior to his captaincy, and I was still very sour about everything. So I'm sorry,
he did
Mr.
have
Lowry.
a career year in points this year as well.
Yeah, which is crazy that he had like half the season on a downside. So Adam Lowry could be looking for a big contract when this one ends if he has another successful season. Number 8, Dylan Sandberg. See, the more and more I look at this list from like farther back, I'm like, what a stupid list. uh, I want to believe in Sandberg. I mean, he can eat up minutes. He's going into that second season, and that's where a lot of guys kind of fall off. So I'm a little bit worried about him, but at the same time, that guy's going to be so important for the Winnipeg Jets moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my number 8, I have Nino Niederreiter, deadline pickup last year. And I think that he's what Alex Iafallo brings with a little bit more like tenacity to him. Like he'll get to the dirty areas more, hit people, and he can play on either wing. And he's a goal scorer too. So I have him just a bit higher than Alex Iafallo, just for his goal scoring and his physicality that he brings as well. So I think he's just a winger version of Adam Lowry that can score a couple more goals. So
Nice. Number 7 is Vlad Nemestikov, Swiss Army knife. Dude can go up and down the lineup. He's such a smart player. Like his hockey IQ is unbelievable. If his talent was like just even a little bit better, he would be a top 5 NHLer just because he's so smart.
in my number 7 slot, I have Dylan DeMello.
Nice.
He's the best right-handed defenseman on the Jets, and he also had a career year last year in also assisting Morrissey and being that defenseman we saw last year, being a stable partner for him. And he just does a little bit of everything. You don't see him on the power play, but that's not really where he shines. He really shines in the defensive zone, blocking shots, and really being that stable defenseman for someone like Morrissey who can really elevate his game more offensively.
Goal Perfetti for number 6 here. Again, way before the season even considered starting. Second line centerman, you're going to love what you see out of Cole Perfetti. Again, needs to stay healthy. It's not his fault he got dummied at center ice the other night. And everyone that's like, oh, well, he just flopped. You come get it. Like, I'll just line up a good hit on you, just straight to the head, shoulder to head. Let it happen. And you tell me how you feel after that one. And I'm not even that big of a guy, but I bet you I could do a little bit of damage. So, yeah, shut up, everyone that's like, oh, Perfetti likes to flop. He's faking it. You're a moron. I've got big opinions on this. CTE is real, friends.
And for my 6th overall Jet, I have Gabe Vilardi. Gabe Vilardi, I want to put higher on this list next year. This is the guy I want to have in the top 5 next year and be like, look at that Dubois trade and look at what Vilardi was able to do in just his first season. He scored over 20 goals playing in primarily a third line role with LA. And that doesn't even mention the defensive abilities that he brings as well. Like he's just a really great two-way forward that's really physical and gets into the dirty areas. And he's a net front presence player as well. So having a physical player that does everything that he does at only 24 years old, and you realize this isn't even the peak of what Vilardi could be. It's really intriguing.
Oh, yeah. Point to game player is what I'm calling this year for Gabriel Vilardi. Like, put the money down. The dude's going to be unbelievable all season. And like you talk about that defensive game, him and Mark Scheifele, we might watch all of the flaws of Mark Scheifele just disappear, go off into the ethos because he's got somebody that actually wants to play defense with him. And who knows? Like, I just want to see a complete 180 from Mark Scheifele. And I think this is the guy that's going to do it. What a great pick for your number 6 pick. Yeah. Ray, what are you doing for your long weekend here? Because you're taking a long one.
Yeah, it's more just to relax, just kind of get some time off to kind of take some time to relax, to be honest. It's getting a little tiring these days, so getting the extra day just to rest up and recuperate.
Yeah, dude, you enjoy that long weekend. So I don't know what you're up to, but yeah, you take her easy. And everyone else, you take it easy as well. Go Jets, go. Ray, where are we going to find you on the internet?
Yeah, you can find me at ray.how on Instagram. And yeah, if you have any questions, the season is coming up, so it's gonna ramp up quickly, very quickly for questions and getting everything ready for the season.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Send us your questions because we want to answer those for you. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, check out our friends at Betway if you are in Ontario, 19 plus. They've got the Stanley Cup futures odds. They've got odds for NHL preseason, the NFL, the CFL. So we know the CFL postseason's coming up. right away here. And yeah, whatever you want to make bets on, you go check it out. If you're in Ontario, Betway 19 plus, and please play responsibly. You can find me, Angus Hout, on Instagram. Again, send questions. Check out jetsnation.ca and like and subscribe. Have a great one there, Ray.
Yeah, go Jets, go.
Go Jets, go.